Hi, Stan with 3D PT. So earlier I designed this box knife holster for my work at a grocery store. I work as a grocery clerk right now. And it's okay. This is printed in TPU, but the way it printed is it printed vertically. And with Cura, you could put print supports on the inside, but that was going to be really hard to clean out on this. So I ended up just leaving it unsupported. And the result was, you could see how bad the finish is here on the top. And inside it's really stringy. I don't think I'll be able to get a light down to see that. But it's really stringy and really ugly. Now, a long time ago I actually did an experiment where I basically taped some paper spacers to the build plate and used that as support, and use that actually to make a really smooth face for name tags. Well, I thought, why not use building blocks to do the same thing? And this way you won't have to use print support material, and you could just pull this out and not have to really process this. So I'm going to take these building blocks, shove them in while it's printing, when it gets to about this height. And when the print gets to about this height, I'll pause it, put this insert in. I'm going to cover this with probably blue tape as well to keep it from sticking. And the reason I use building blocks is because I could pull them apart if I needed to and pull out the insert that way. But what I'm hoping is that using this method, I won't need to use as much support material in the future. It's reusable and gives me an excuse to play with building blocks. But also, it's another way to kind of cut some time and material cost. So this is designed in TInkerCAD, and it's just going to be some simple shapes. So this is going to be version 2 of this box knife holster. And this is going to be printed in TPU. I just want it flexible so that way I don't impale myself on the holster every time I hit something on the shelf. But with the tape it should be spaced just enough to hold this. Now that I have it in Cura, I want to pause it at the layer height that will just before it starts to bridge over on the top. So that's going to be at about layer 96. Yeah, about layer 96. And this is with a layer height of 0.38 in Cura. And I know I have the settings for ColorFab, but actually that works pretty well for ColorFab and Ninjaflex TPU. So they're pretty interchangeable, so I'm going to go ahead and just pretty much keep most of the settings. The only thing I'm not having is with supports. I am going to have it touch the build plate, just because there are some rough edges down at the bottom, but it's not going to be everywhere. So I'm just going to leave it as touch build plate support and use the building blocks here to put inside this area when it's ready. So for this, I'm in Cura 3.618, and I'm going to go to Modify G-Code, add a script, pause at, there's a couple options. I could pause at height, or I like to use the color change option because I could actually control the layers better. So I'm going to set that to layer 96, and it'll change color. So here's what the building blocks will do when it actually is supporting the print. Right now, the print's about 2/3 of the way done, so I still have that pause at layer height, and I'm actually going to change the color as well to a blue. I've got a client's job next that I have to print in blue TPU. And the idea with this, again, is when I pull the building blocks are going to be the actual support piece instead of the overhead, instead of printing with the actual material. And it'll look something like that when it actually prints. I will time-lapse the part where we actually are printing the overhang, and it'll be in blue, so I'll have to see about that. Actually, I might just do it black. Never mind. So, I have a technical error. Of course, right before all the big surprise happens, had a misfeed, and the filament actually kinked up in the extruder. So, effectively this print's dead, but at least it did help prove some of my idea, because you can see it did start bridging again. And it's just the problem is it bridged over an empty gap. So, of course, right at the last minute it manages to misprint, but it is starting to bridge here, and it is using this as support. But it looks like it missed about 3 layers, so I can't fix that. So I'm going to go back and start again. Alright, so trying again, and here's the main part. While the filament's changing, I'm changing that to black this time. I'll go ahead and drop that in. So again, what I'm hoping is, after the filament changes, that the print will resume, and again I get this to form the bridge. I did take a layer of tape off here just to reduce it down. Kind of debating if I should. Yeah, I'll go ahead and tape this down on this end just to secure it and be safe. So this took about 4 hours. I did run the last part of it at much slower pace, about 90% speed, and about 105% fill. So, pull that. TPUs, I've never had a problem with TPU not sticking to a build plate. Actually, you have to do it over tape. And even then, it's still pretty tough to come off. So, let's see. Now a little bit's just some of the support just for the build plate. I'm not too worried about that. And so it did provide support. The finish on top, comparing it to the first one, is a lot better. It's definitely a lot smoother. There's still a little blob in here. And for some reason I was having problems when it changed layers here. It started misfeeding again, so I don't know if there's a backflow issue with the filament getting changed, or if it was getting some sort of back pressure against this. The other thing is maybe when it was moving, I know it did graze along the hot end did graze along the side of the building blocks, but I don't think it pushed them over too bad. So it's okay, but let's see. Oh, that came out really good on the inside. Let's see if I get that, and yeah, get a little bit of it, but the inside is a whole lot smoother. It's not stringing or drooping down. And the tape I'll have to just work off, but that's fine. So it needs a little bit of refinement. I could feel a little bit of an edge along the top here. If you're going to do this, really take some time, measure out the total distance. So maybe assemble your building blocks beforehand along with the tape, and that way you can make sure your clearance is good on the inside. Yeah, nice and smooth. And also the inside is really good. So overall, I'd say using this is a good method. It does take a little bit of finessing maybe at the beginning. This would be good if you want to do like batch printing, and instead of having to waste a lot of support material on overhead supports, you could just use building blocks. Or someone else dropped a comment on my blog about either printing your own type of support or using like silly putty. I don't know about silly putty. I'd rather just use this. And it did come out fairly clean. I did have to use my plate knife. This is basically just a bread knife, but it did work to get it out. And compare it to the other one, yeah, this one's just a lot smoother for a knife holster. So I'll probably end up putting the file up on my Prusa print site. I'm getting away from Thingiverse. Thingiverse has basically gone downhill, and their management of the site has gone even worse. Prusa printers will actually let you transfer your Thingiverse files over. So I'll probably put this on Prusa printers. So here's how to use building blocks for support material. If you like what you see, please like, comment, and subscribe. And let me know if there's any other techniques or methods you want to see.